Hello, everybody. A little technical difficulty starting today. Welcome to the Global Comic Safari first. I don't want to call it annual, but first pickup forum roundtable discussion. So with me today, I've got, as always, Matt Roybal.
What up, guys?
999. We have Robert Fordham, who's joined us before on Tales from FlipSide, and not global yet, but he will. And new to us is Scott McManus. So welcome.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys.
Welcome, Scott.
We're gonna try something a little different here. We're gonna each show our three favorite pickups from the past year, and just kind of talk a little bit about them and share some cool books that maybe you guys have or haven't seen.
Nice. Can't wait to see these, man.
Why don't since you're the new guy, why don't you go first? Show us
I've got the honors. Well,
third favorite pickup of the year.
Third favorite pickup of 2019.
2019 coming in strong here. Some love from the Fantastic Four. Let's try to get the glare here.
Oh, it's tough. We get the shinier bag, the worse it is. Look at that.
So this is the Mexican La Prensa. It's 1963 August. So August of 63 definitely makes it the oldest edition outside of the U.S. for foreign language.
Yeah.
So like kind of keep it up here so you can eye candy, because this is all about show and tell.
In general.
Right. It's close to the original. I haven't noticed any differences. You sometimes get those.
Yeah.
We subtle. Think very subtle, but this one seems to be pretty much consistent with the American edition. So
they agreed it was an awesome cover and left it be.
One thing that's interesting about this book, besides being a monster rare book, I think it's one of the most difficult in the run to get, which is kind of interesting because the American 12 had poor distribution. But this, because La Prensa didn't publish Hulk 1 through 6, I've turned over a lot of stones, and I'm nearly 99% that this would be the first appearance of Hulk outside the English language.
Wow.
So the first foreign edition of an Incredible Hulk. So it's not Hulk 1, but I still think that's, if you're a big Hulk fan,
that's crazy.
That's the one to get.
This would be the one to get.
Even before Brazil?
Yeah. Oh, way before Brazil.
Okay. They tend to be the only other country that kind of lives in they were pretty early.
I want to say UK had Fantastic, and then Horowitz did some Marvel material, but that was all like in 1965. It's hard to get before 1965 in any country except maybe Mexico. They're the ones that were the earliest.
Fantastic.
Damn good condition too, Scott.
Yeah, it's pretty. I don't know what it looks like out of the bag, but it looks pretty in it.
It's a nice copy. I mean, it's got some water stains around the edge, but if you've been doing this for a while,
any grade,
Latin America, any grade's the best grade. But the Latin books, they all tend to have moisture stains. That's just part of collecting these early Silver Age books. I mean, you think of this. This book is like 60 years old almost. Well, you do the math, but
and I'm gonna guess. I'm just gonna theorize that book didn't see a bag and board until at least the 80s.
This didn't see a bag and board until it got to me.
Or I was trying to think positively, but you're right.
No, I'm serious. I mean, I got this from a buddy that I've been friends with on Facebook. He lives in Mexico, but I think he had these books stacked just like this. They were not bagged.
Wow.
What it made
amazing.
Yeah. And it's a rare book. I want to say that another friend of mine, Rulo, who collects these, he's probably one of the biggest collectors of the Mexican editions. He told me it took him like 10 years to find his copy, and he picked up a 1.8. It was a slabbed book on eBay of all places that he found it.
Wow. Crazy.
So Matt, you've talked about your scale before. I'd say this is a monster scale, meaning, buying opportunities are very few and far between on that book. So if you want that book and you see it, you buy it when you see it, because you may not get the chance for another 5 or 6 years. It's just a tough book.
Yeah.
So that's my number
monster.
3.
That's a good one, man.
Thanks,
All right.
man.
Well,
Gorgeous
thank you.
book.
We talked about it right before we went on stage on the show. Is helps to have like the golden age mentality of you buy the book when you see it, not look for grade and hope to find a better one, because you may never.
Right, and you can always upgrade.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
Buy one, find another.
Exactly. if you lose the one, you ain't seeing it again. It just ain't coming back.
The immortal words of Ken Worthing: buy one, find me another.
Oh yeah, yeah. Ken's a great guy.
I will
Amazing.
let Robert go next, since I'm sure he's got a beautiful book to show.
Oh yeah, let's see.
Let's do it.
All right, so show us what you got, sir.
Oh,
The anticipation's killing me.
Oh,
know
I didn't
what?
do scans. I'm sorry. Did you? We didn't tell you that.
All right, come back to me. I'm gonna go grab them right now.
We're gonna go back to Matt because we changed this plan on Robert.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we did.
We forgot to tell him he came late. That's what he gets for being late.
ooh,
Dokie. I'm a Conan freak. Not as much as some people, but I have been looking at this book and wanting it for a long, long time. This is the Mexican Conan 1, Volcano 1, published by Eddie Press / La Prensa. Eddie Press was a subsidiary of La Prensa.
Okay.
So kind of like DC and Vertigo. Think of DC
Like an
and
imprint.
Vertigo. Yeah, exactly. It was published on August of 1971, and what makes this particular copy so important to me is that I can tell by this language up here the exactities of this book. This is the scan that Rulo got for the Balde Comics database. So if you were to be researching Conan books and you go to baldecomics.com and you look up the Conan run he has on there, this was from a collector by the name of Fernando Vega Neri. He's a famous collector he's a well-known famous collector within the Mexican groups. And this was his book, and he sold it to Augusto in Spain. So it went from Mexico to Spain. And then this year, finally, Augusto had brought his price down because he'd had it listed for some big prices. Remember that, Scott?
well, that's a hard book to find. I mean, you don't see that one very often. So
yeah, and he'd had it pretty high, and I just couldn't afford it. And then recently, he came down on his price, and I pulled the trigger, and I said, "Boom! I want it, baby." And Mike, I've been building the Conan set since we kind of highlighted Ronnie, the Cheetah's Conan set in issue 2 of FCC magazine. So for me,
right, yeah, I remember that.
This book is I've just been wanting it for so long. It's not in the best condition, it's got some condition issues. See over here, it's got some pretty rough edges and stuff.
Right.
But for me, it's beautiful, and the fact that it's connected to Balde Comics and Rulo and all those really well known and tight Mexican collectors, and it's part of the history of them building the Mexican database.
Right.
Just the cherry on top.
It's got provenance to go with it.
Exactly.
Got the story.
Exactly. I love owning foreign books that can be connected to foreign history. So for me, that's my number 3, baby.
Right, man. It does, like you said before, the community is part of the benefit of collecting the foreign books.
Exactly. I love all you guys. I love all my friends. Community is important to us. And, it's one of the reasons I was getting tired of the just general comic collecting community. There was, greedy dealers and collectors that were talking shit all the time, and people just couldn't get along, and people were just quiet. And, so I love the foreign community. And so, yeah, that's my 3.
Nice, man. Nice.
Very nice. All right. We're going to Robert next. We will see what he's got for us.
All right. My number 3 favorite from last year was definitely this one.
Nice.
Oh, little.
We didn't say bring the nudie mags, Robert.
Oh,
Well,
wrong podcast.
Yeah, you
Well,
just
hey.
read them for the articles, right, Robert?
Yeah, I just
Read them for
ads
the
to side.
cartoons.
I want the tape deck, the one that clicks to record, and it's real loud when you push it. But this is probably one of my favorites from last year because, as you know, it's like anything outside of the U.S. is kind of hard. Just have to have that community behind you to be able to get your hands on one of these. So I was fortunate to get 2. But shout out to Andy. He's definitely the one that helped me obtain this.
Oh yeah.
So forever grateful.
Congrats on the run on that.
Yeah, you're the
Yeah.
only American I know, Robert, that has completed the Japanese Playboy Spider-Man run. The only American. I don't know of anybody else.
Yeah. I plan on shocking trying to remember his name. I'm Stephen Bagley. I'm gonna try to surprise him at Baltimore. I'm gonna have him in my bag and say, like, here, you know these?
Yeah. Oh, he'll drool over it, dude.
But yep, that's my number 3.
That's
Very
a good
nice.
one. That's a great one.
Yep.
All right, so I guess it's my turn, and I'm going to give you. We just discussed it on last week's episode, a double key, and I bought 2 of them so that I could show both sides.
Nice.
Front side, back side.
Oh yeah, the double key. Yep.
So this is even
Yep.
better than the double key we showed the other day, which was the
Greek 238.
238 with Iron Man 55 inside. This actually is a flip book with, Werewolf by Night #1 and Marvel Spotlight 5 on the other side. It is it's the Danish edition by Interpress, 1972, Vampire 1. And I saw it, I'm like, I gotta have that. That's just cool to have 2 of the great supernatural characters in one issue. Because they're both really nice, iconic covers. So
yeah, and it's got nice font, like the way they've laid it out. I like it. Yeah.
Now you gotta get to number 16 to get the chopped up woman on the back.
That's on the list, Robert. You beat me to everything lately, so I'll wait for you to get it, and then you find another for me.
That's cool that you bought 2, John.
Yeah, that is. So you could display them both. That's
somebody
smart.
had 2 for listing, and I'm like, I need them.
Yeah.
You know what? That might be a good use for my dual frame I'm buying.
Oh,
so.
yeah. That would be a great use for a dual frame because you could show both the front and the back, and then someone would go, "Oh, those are 2 cool books." And then because it says 1 on the back, right on the Ghost Rider.
Yeah,
it says it in the corner. Yeah, you could be like, pay attention to the issue numbers.
Absolutely. And it looks exactly the same. It's got price on the front and the back, so it really was.
You could display it either way.
It appears that way.
Beautiful. Great score.
Nice one.
Love that one. All right, Scott, number 2. What you got?
Number 2. What we have here, some X-Men. This is
mind-blowing.
I don't have to tell you the number, X-Men 94, like one of the most iconic issues from the 70s that probably saved Marvel, the X-Men title. This is from Venezuela.
Wow.
And, we didn't even know this thing existed until last year. Now, that doesn't mean that somewhere in the world someone didn't know about it, but I will say that one of the most well-known and highly respected collectors in Peru, Franco Quiroz, he knew of the publisher, but didn't really know what was published. And I happen to know that in Venezuela, they had done a couple issues of Conan. In fact, the publisher is El Nacional, and they're a book publisher. But in the same way that Eddie Press was a subsidiary of La Prensa, well, they had a Grupo editor, InterArt, and they're the ones that did this.
That's beautiful.
And it was published in '83. So, it's at 10 years or so. Well, it's quite a ways, almost 8 years after the original, but still early. And for what you're, when you think about Venezuela, the current crisis, the environment this comes from, it's in surprisingly good condition.
I really like that
amazing.
it's just real. Not the condition, but the art is just really clean. There's not a lot to distract you.
Right, and they did a really good job. Like, I doubt many people are going to know me who watch this, but I'm a trained artist, so things like the green background, you've got the complementary color here, and the red sort of helps offset it balances the overall visual appeal. You've got this warm yellow to temper the cool green. So
is there anything in the banner?
It's
all different, all new, all different.
Let me move this over.
I like the blank banner too. It's just bizarre.
It's a blank banner. The book itself is in color, and surprisingly, it's got a nice print.
Huh.
It's all color, and it's a nice print. Issue number 1 of this is issue number 2 in this series. Issue number 1 would be giant size annual, excellent. And I have that as well.
Venezuela?
Yeah, it's Venezuela.
Oh, the giant size X-Men is Venezuela?
Right. So in Venezuela, when they started publishing these, they
left out the old stuff.
Okay. Yeah, they just did Conan, and then they did, I think they did Spider-Man, and then they did X-Men. And there's like, I want to say, we think there's either 8 or 9 issues. Norman Scott Robinson from Global Comico, a friend of mine, he found 2 of these after I did. And he also acquired some of the other issues in the run, but he doesn't have them all. But we think there's maybe 9 issues total that were done, and it was published quarterly. So,
oh wow,
you think that's like a couple of years
to get a run? You got to be dedicated.
Yeah, like the publisher would really have to have staying power, and I don't know what kind of distribution strategy they had. I don't know if this is going to show up in any other countries other than maybe people selling them in the back issue market. But like I said, there's only 2 of them that we know of so far. So it's definitely I would say it's probably a ghost book. And if you are interested in building a set, this would definitely be the difficult one to go after.
Oh, that's a ghost for sure.
And if someone out there is trying to build the set and you want more information, you can go to the FCC site on the Facebook. John, you'll probably give that information.
I will post the link on the video with this.
So, I mean, if people have questions on stuff like this, just reach out.
Definitely join the page and ask some questions, because people are usually pretty nice.
Dude, that's an amazing book, Scott.
It definitely is.
Yeah, it was hard to get to because the guy was from Venezuela. My wife's Colombian, so I know a little Spanish. I can hold my own, but he was in Bogota looking for work, and he was trying to sell these books, and I was talking to him, and it was getting complicated. It was about a 3-hour negotiation, and I convinced him to send them to my mother-in-law. So when my wife went down last year to visit on a trip, she brought them back for me. So getting these books is hard. Like I said, a lot of work that goes into getting something like that, but it makes it fun, man. It's like it's a trophy. That's a trophy book right there.
Sourcing is a unique skill, and some guys are better than others at it. I mean, you've got to build contacts. You've got to figure out how to get in there. You got to figure out how to pay people without PayPal. It's funny. I joke all the time about that. I'm like, most Americans are so connected with an umbilical cord to PayPal that you tell them that you have to use Western Union or some other thing, and they're like, what, Western Union? It's like it's just crazy.
I am happy to pay a sorcerer a lot of times. If somebody gets a book, I'm going to happily give them their cut, because sometimes they put in a ton of work to get that book to a country nearby, usually Mexico or Canada, but somewhere.
And I had to send Western Union to a guy that I didn't know. And
that's scary.
No, I had no recourse. He could have screwed me over. Honestly, I mean, he seemed like a sincerely nice person. I don't know. You take the risk. You have to do it, or you're not going to get the book.
No.
I one time sent records to a guy in Mexico. Didn't accept PayPal. Didn't want to accept any money. he sent me a link to some records out of Spain. I had to get the records to me. Then I had to go, okay, so where do you need me to send these to? Sent him the records. It was like a trade. I mean, it's crazy sometimes what you got to do to get these books. You're exactly right, Scott.
That's
All right.
that's part of the sickness part that you have to feed it.
It's treasure hunting, man. It's treasure hunting.
I'm glad I've met some friendly people. We'll go give Robert a shot to go second again.
All right. Now this one, She-Hulk, #1, Australian edition, Jaffa.
Yeah, nice. Those Jaffas can be tough.
This is the only one graded on CGC.
Why'd you go to CGC, Robert?
Because it's magazine size, and just to kind of give you an idea how big this is. I'll back it up so you can see it. You see how big this is, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a big, Jaffas were big.
Yeah, I got a Jaffa.
This is a magazine size board, so you can see.
Yeah, it's a big boy.
It fits right in there. So this, I had to go CGC. And I have to say, early on in my foreign collecting career, it's kind of like Spiro's had one and he sold it to me, but I have been looking for another one since. And this is turning out to be a very long time to wait for another. So like they say, buy it, worry about it later, get another one later. That's exactly what that means.
He took Ken Worthing's advice
before he even said it. I said, I'm gonna buy it now.
Awesome.
Get it
and
now.
When you see another one, you get it when you see it later.
You might
have one.
You might have listened to something I said about Golden Age and maybe picked it up.
Yeah, I'll give you credit for that. Yeah, you did. But I have to say this one, it's all black and white. On the back, you can see that it's all black and white.
Fairly original cover, right? Same as the original.
Yep. Only thing that tells this from this one, besides the size, is that right here, it has a New Zealand pricing on it. That's the only difference between that one and the size, and that's the only difference between the original and this. This is the only thing that separates it.
So you could bring that into a con and go, I got the magazine size one.
And they'll be like, what?
What?
Right. They'd be like, why is it so big? And I was like, yeah.
That's what she said.
Nothing small about She-Hulk at all.
No, I like that.
Very, very nice book, Robert.
And Jaffas are tough, Robert. Jaffas
a black hole, man.
In comparison to Newtons, you could probably find 3 or 5 Newtons all day long. In comparison to one Jaffa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I have another Jaffa coming soon, but I'll share that one on a later podcast. That's going to be very, very difficult.
So are you building that set, Rob? Are you building that set?
Yes. Mario is he has the other 5 books that I need, but he knew the Jaffa was the hardest too. And he was like, you got the Jaffa already? I was like, that was the first one I bought. I had to get that. And I was like, he has the rest of them. I'm getting that from him soon. But I'm pretty much done the set. So
get the hard one first. That's a good idea. Then you don't have to start a set you won't complete.
Exactly. I'm doing the Gambit one too. And the only one I have left is the Italian at his own star. That's the only one I'm missing with that one. So
that's achievable.
Yeah.
So that TikTok's coming soon.
Absolutely.
Nice.
All right, Matt, show us what you got there.
Okay. The Chilean Iron Man 1.
Ooh.
Yeah, this is, and notice old Shellhead's head being covered up
right over it.
Why did they do that? It's so weird, right? This is the Chilean Iron Man 1, but it's actually the El Hombre de Hierro, issue 3, published in 1978 by Editora Nacional Gabriela Mistral. It contains the guts of Iron Man 5 and a backup story from Iron Man 3. And this book, so it doesn't have the classic story 1. It's got issue 3 in it.
So where'd they start?
I
Did
don't
they go back to Tales of Suspense for the one?
no.
No. Number 1 is actually issue number 2, I think, and then they're out of sequence. And then when you get to about issue 9 or 10, then all of a sudden they start skipping issues, and they're like 4 or 5 every 4 or 5 issues. And then by the time you get into the 20s, they start getting up into the 70s. So it's really obscure how they do it.
So they hated Iron Man as much as Mexico loves Spider-Man. Spider-Man, they added extra ones in Mexico, and they got rid of that issues of Iron Man there.
They jumped around.
The fact that they printed Iron Man is actually interesting because there's more Iron Mans printed in the Gabriel Mistral series than there are Spider-Man or Hulk.
Yeah.
So Conan and Iron Man were the 2 that Gabrielle did that have the longest runs.
And they missed the 55. Scott and I were looking for the 55, and they didn't do it. They didn't even do the guts
of the 54. I got the guts of the 54, but I can't. Yeah, I've proved out that there is no 55. I'm sorry.
No. So sad.
Heartbreaking.
But one of the reasons I like this book too is, like we've talked about the South African super comics being on the right side of history with apartheid and stuff. This book I consider sort of to be on the wrong side of history, because the publisher, Gabriel Mistral, used to be called Quimantu, and it was owned by the state. And when Pinochet, the dictator, came in and did the coup and overthrew the elected government, he shut down Quimantu, and then a year later reopened it as Gabriel Mistral, and they were public. So it's you could almost consider it American propaganda, basically. And
we like propaganda in the form of comic books. So.
Yeah, that I'm good with. What I wasn't good with was, the dictatorship did some pretty horrible things to the poor people of Chile.
Yeah.
But this is an amazing book. I build the Iron Man 1 set, and so even though it doesn't have the guts, it belongs in that set, in my opinion. And it's a hard book to find.
It's a toughie.
It's a toughie. You could spend a long time trying to find one. And luckily I didn't have to source this. One of the super sourcers in the game is by the name of J.F. Tremblay. He's a French Canadian out of Canada, and he found this, and I got this from him. So
he is a beast.
He's a beast. He's a super sourcer.
I want to say that we're up to about 5 copies of that now that I know of.
Is there 5?
That we've pulled, that we've sort of pulled into our sort of circle, our madness. The Geek Gravity has pulled 5 copies into our pocket.
Once you know it's real, then you go after it.
Yep.
Yeah, knowing something exists, it makes it a heck of a lot easier to pursue. That's without a doubt. But Chile is hard to penetrate, and those were regional books. They were sent to Chile, maybe sent to a couple surrounding countries, but like Argentina, they printed their own editions, and Colombia printed their own editions. So it's sort of like a region within a region type of distribution strategy. I probably could do a whole entire episode just on that.
I'd love to find an Argentinian, but so far no luck.
All right.
Nice.
I'm looking forward to it. The Canadian Super Sorcerer has a book in the mail for me that I'm looking forward to. So hopefully in a couple days.
A little bit of on that.
Somehow he is the fastest shipper from Canada I've ever seen. I got books from him in like 5 days.
Yeah, definitely. But talking to JF earlier, he's big on Zatanna, and he shared a picture of that first Zatanna, and I was like, what was it, Navarro?
Yeah, it's probably my book.
Wait, he's got one too, or you have one?
We both have one.
Yeah, he has one.
I got
too.
the nice one.
Okay.
Yeah, I was like, whoa.
Did you sell that to him, Scott?
Huh?
Did you sell that to JF?
No, I helped him get the one with tape.
Oh, you helped him get it.
We didn't know that book existed, and because it didn't have a scan, and I actually found it, and I verified with Franco that he knew it existed, but I don't think he had a copy either. And then I found one, and I got it, and then later I helped JF find the one that he's got.
Nice.
Gorgeous.
Right.
Haven't seen another one since.
That's starting to be a recurring theme on this podcast.
That is a tough book. Very tough book.
All right. Well, speaking of tough books, I am a glutton for punishment, and I went with a Golden Age book, a Golden Age freaking foreign of all things.
Golden Age.
Oh no. There you
Hit
go.
the wrong button. And this happens to be one of my favorite covers in the U.S. edition, but the Guri.
Ooh, wow.
188
The color is
is-
amazing on that.
out of Brazil, published by Diario de Note. The original U.S. version was published in April of 47. This one was published in March of 48, so just a year later.
It's Diary of the Night, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I hope I didn't butcher the pronunciation. My Spanish is real wonky.
That's Portuguese, and Portuguese is a lot harder to pronounce. So I'm not gonna
Even worse, you're right.
throw any
Brazil.
stones.
Scott's gonna let you slide.
Thank you.
I don't speak
I
Portuguese.
totally
anymore.
forgot about that.
That's a beautiful book, man. Wow.
Yeah. So I happen to see this one, not this edition posted, but an edition posted. I'm like, oh my God, it exists. I had previously stumbled upon the UK edition and bought it for really cheap price. And I'm like, oh God, I guess I'm getting a set. And I saw this one posted. I'm like, oh God, I got to buy another one. And thankfully, Robert did a little networking for me. And the guy that had it posted didn't want to sell it, but he knew a guy that might. And I got it from him. One of the first things they said is, it looks pretty, but there's no staples. Thankfully, I was prepared for that because it's Brazil. They tend to take out the staples, especially in some of the older books, because they're going to rust.
Yeah,
Definitely.
exactly.
They either rusted and they took them out, or they knew they were going to rust and they just did away with them. Yeah.
So this one is not really got any rust on it. So thankfully, they must have taken them out fairly early in the process. It's a really beautiful book. Other than that, and you just not going to talk about it.
That's
Color's amazing.
That's a striking condition for one of the early Brazil. I had some.
I got the U.S. one here, and I think it's even better colors.
Wow.
It looks painted almost.
Yeah, it's beautiful. So
That's badass.
I only because I have it here. I'll show the other one too. This is the UK, which is its own little thing.
Newsprint.
It's got a weird silver in it, but I mean, this book is just gorgeous. I mean, it's a gorgeous cover, bright colors on it, and I couldn't pass it up. It would be my favorite book if I hadn't bought the other book that's number one. So
That's badass.
I love it.
And it survived rainforests and extreme humidity.
Oh, absolutely. And just to have any Golden Age book amazes me to come out of. Golden Age books in the U.S. are not common. To come anywhere else is just mind blowing.
Yeah, totally.
How long they survived, in whatever condition they survived, and where they survived, and how they got to us.
And think about this, John. That might be the only copy of, I'm going to cuss here, that might be the only copy of that fucking book in America right now.
The only other one I know of is in still in South America, and the guy that has it does not want to sell his. So
yeah, I mean, that's what we're talking about. We're talking high-end foreign books, man. We're talking, books that you can count on two hands that exist in America. And I read these posts. There was a post on the CGC board where a guy was posting like a Silver Age Mexican key La Prensa, and you had guys telling him, "Oh, well, there's a few people that collect those, and but they're never going to be worth very much money." My mind was blown at what these guys were saying. It's one of the reasons I left the CGC boards long ago. I was like, there's. You got to respect a book that has quantities in the United States in numbers that you can count on one hand. And if you don't, you're fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You got to understand scarcity. And Scott and I talked again, we both kind of came from a Golden Age background of, okay, I like the idea of finding something I just can't find. I mean, back in, back pre-internet, you had to go hunting to find these books. You couldn't just order them. You had to look for them. You had to go to people. You had to know people. You had to send stuff through the mail and do crazy things. And
wait for those stupid cons.
And that's where we're kind of living here is
and pay cash.
You could just find today. It may be years before I find some books on my list.
Yeah.
So.
And the one thing I can say about this is that Matt said it earlier, the community is definitely the one thing that helps you obtain any of these books. You can't achieve none of this without talking, chatting it up, checking on people every now and then. Like you literally just check up on people. Like we all kind of know what regions we're in and say like, hey man, you okay? I know y'all just had like, a whole volcano in the Philippines talking to Alf. So I mean, it's community is definitely the sense that you really don't see anywhere else. So that's why I was able to hit this one so hard because talking is definitely second nature. Being able to communicate, half of these books that I have now came from me just talking. So just Scott, we need to do a podcast about Perry's because I'm still learning about H&Gs and Palacio and all that. I'm just There's no Wikipedia for any of that. So
we've talked about that.
We could talk for hours about Palacio and H&G by itself. Right, Scott?
All right.
So I want to definitely make sure I'm on that panel.
Yeah, I'm not qualified to be on it. I'll just run the background. So now we're going to get to everybody's favorite book of 2019 they grabbed.
Uno numero, number one.
So we'll go with Scott. I'm amazed to see what he's going to get here.
The number one. I'm teasing.
Oh, look at you teasing.
Oh.
Wow.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, just blinding. Mexican House of Secrets 92. So this is Relatos Fabulosos number 160. Number 160 in this series. Relatos Fabulosos was one of the long-running titles, and they just flipped the content around. If you're familiar with EC Comics, how they had to get cheaper postage rates, and so they would like swap titles. It's like an anthology, maybe.
Yeah.
Not in the literal sense of an anthology, but the fact that the content, like these guys would rotate it, and they also had to keep the printing press running. There's a little documentary that was done on Novaro that you can actually go out to YouTube and find, or not YouTube. You have to go to the other one, Vimeo.
Vimeo.
Or Vimeo, whatever that was. Yeah, they have a documentary called Novaro, like something the Colossus. Anyway, this book was published in November of 1973, so it's definitely an early book. Unfortunately, there's not much in the way of set building, but if you're a Bernie Wrightson fan or you're a Swamp Thing fan,
you're looking for that.
I mean, this is an awesome book. And I'll tell you, unfortunately, a lot of people in Latin America want this book, so it is very, very hard to get.
So make sure you edit this video, John, so nobody knows he have it.
Yeah.
Wait, so I shouldn't put his address and something on the screen later?
Yeah, put my address in the back.
and this is a ghost that I think we can count known copies on two hands, right, Scott?
I think we're still under 10.
Yeah.
Because JF has one, and I'm not sure if I was supposed to say that, but I already let the cat out of the bag. He has one, and then I found this one from one of the guys that's in our groups. He found it in Mexico. Nice. Before that, though, I think we were at about 7.
It was about 7,
I think we're at 9. Actually, you know what? If you count Ulysses' copy, he got it's not the H&G because Tony has that.
Yeah, Tony's got the H&G.
Ulysses put a copy on, and Robert got it, or Kazi. He got it. So there's 10. We know of 10.
Hey, and just to interrupt here for 1 second, you want to know how badass this guy Scott McManus is? Let me tell you how badass that motherfucker is. This is the second copy he's owned.
Yeah, so the first copy I found on American eBay, and I was actually looking for back issues of the 80s series because I remember buying them as a kid. And I'm like, I want to go back and read them. And this dude had a big lot. And I was scanning photos to see the condition, and he had the Mexican one in there. And I'm like, holy crap. And so I pinged him, and I offered him, I don't know, I offered him like a couple $100, and he probably shit his pants. Like, why would this dude offer me? This book's worthless.
No idea.
And he's like, sure, I'll sell it to you. I'm like, okay, thanks. So I got the book, and then but it was signed by Bernie Wrightson.
Wow.
And a friend of ours who's also in the FCC is it was his dream book. And of course I love the book too, but it was his dream book. And, I needed some funds to catch my dream book, which was the Mexican FF1. And I just thought, you know what? I'm going to let my buddy have it. He offered me a really good price.
Charles.
He wanted the book. And so I'm like, so done. And I was like, maybe I'll find another one. It took me a couple of years to find this stupid thing.
That was a gamble, Scott. You're a gambling man.
It makes it fun though, because like if you're a hunter and you like that aspect of comic collecting, you sort of put your balls out there, and basically like, it really motivates you to look. And then when you find that second copy, you're like, that's sweet, man. Of course, it's lower grade. It's not signed by Bernie. And like right after I sold mine, Bernie passed away. So,
wow.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But it goes back to square one.
That's my number one for 2019.
Comic Karma. I've said it before. Comic Karma.
Yep.
Yeah. But that's that part of the community that we're talking about. Definitely you didn't have to do it. You were just like, I know he wants it, which kind of segues right into my number one.
Oh yeah.
Oh
yeah. Shit.
You didn't even let me get you the widescreen.
Yeah. Big booty.
As you can see, you can see how clean that is.
That's one of the nicest. Yeah, I remember helping you make the connection on that. That was that's one of the cleanest copies that's probably out there, and it came from Ulysses collection. So it's a pedigree collection.
It's an HNG.
It may not be. Does it have the stamp inside of it?
It doesn't have it, but
no stamp.
Ulysses didn't buy all the H&Gs, but some of his books are just absolutely stunning copies because his dad bought them off the newsstand. Some of them, because his dad was a collector and his mom worked for Hector Nava Garcia.
Wow,
that's the connection with. That's why he had such an incredible collection of books. But,
well, there's two copies on the show because I hung mine up tonight, but mine's not nearly as nice as Robert's.
Yeah,
but all I can say is this: that part of community that we're talking about. This is what helped you get this kind of stuff.
So two of us played a role in that one, huh?
Right. It took a few people to pull that off.
Probably many more than two.
Yeah.
3 or 4 probably.
Yeah.
And that book looks like it could be like, what do you think, Robert? Like in maybe 7-8 range, 8.5 range?
Rough grading. I'm not spot on like some of the people in CBSI, but me looking at it, I'm giving it an 8.5.
Dude,
and that's just me being crude.
For La Prensa's, dude, that's fucking nosebleed grade. That's nosebleed grade.
Like I'm almost afraid of when it does happen, when I do send it in to whether it be CBCS or CGC, I haven't decided yet, but I probably have to keep it a secret because I don't want people secretly sending me messages. I don't.
Dude,
I don't want no temptation. I don't.
That is an amazing, amazing book. I can see why that's number one, clear as day.
I tried testing against everything else I've gotten so far, and I was like, nah, that's probably. That is the top dog.
You had to put a lot to get that too. I mean, you extended yourself to get that, right?
Yeah, I had to use some funds that were appropriated through my year of working.
Hopefully your wife will never see this podcast.
She has an idea. She just doesn't question much. She knows as long as it doesn't tinker away in other stuff, we're good.
You get the wink. Yeah. No, that is a killer book, man.
Absolutely, man. Glad you got it. You're the only person I would want to have it besides me.
It's still in the family though. It's still in the family.
It's in the family, man.
Totally. That's awesome.
At least the point of it is that you know where it is. You know it's in good hands.
Yep.
That's true.
Congratulations, Robert.
Knowing where a book is, even if it's not for sale, it could be for sale in the future. That's how I get.
When Robert finds his nicer one.
I don't think I will. I think this.
No, it may not exist.
There is. I mean, Scott, correct me if I'm wrong, but there is I'm gonna call out Scott again on this one. Scott is one of the preeminent La Prensa experts in America. There could be a chance with a book at that grade, that could be theoretically the nicest copy of that book in existence. It's possible.
The colors on it is just amazing. I had to hit it with UV thinking somebody drew on it. I'm like, why does this ink still look fresh? Like I'm looking at the book kind of like.
I think it's somewhere between possible and probable.
Yeah.
Likely might be a word.
I mean, if there's a nicer one out there, I've never seen it. And I mean,
it would have to be one of these old time collectors. See, a lot of the old time collectors are gone. The guys that bought these off the shelves that had these massive collections, like the Francos.
Yep.
It would have to be someone who picked up a fresh copy, put it away, didn't mess with it. If it goes into circulation, it's all game over.
There are not many nicer if they exist.
Yeah.
Like there's not even rubbing from the back. It's like the moment I got it, I took it out the bag and board. I flipped it over. I flipped through it, and I said, it's literally that clean that I was afraid. Like, man, this can't be a counterfeit. It can't be. It's insane.
Nah,
and actually,
it looks too clean. I was almost like, is this real?
And I think again, when you talk about foreign rarity, I think you really have to talk in terms of buying opportunity.
Yeah,
because I hate speculating if there's 10 copies in existence. I mean, who you can't even do that with American books, and the census doesn't mean anything for foreigners. But buying opportunity wise, will we ever get the chance to get another one that high grade? I seriously doubt it.
Yeah,
if it's in 5 years from now, it's completely irrelevant because, who knows?
I wanted that book
5 years.
But one last thing about it is that when Matt showed it on Tales from the FlipSide, I saw it. I was like, I need one of those. When the time comes, if it ever pop up, I'm going to jump on it. John even offered me a constellation prize just in case, and I was just like, I got it now. I've been waiting. I have to pull the trigger. I can't even blink an eye because, back of the head is you might not see it again.
Yeah, it's not the most uncommon book. Not that there's a lot of them, but
you won't pay.
You're not gonna find many. And I was talking to Scott, and that was one of the first books that I wanted in foreign collecting. I'm at probably year 3 to 4, and I've seen 3 copies for sale. I bought 2 of them. You bought the 3rd.
Wait, what's the second?
I got that one.
All right.
And I bought mine from Rulo. And it's nice, but it's it's one of those ones that you don't see very often. There's some of those non-canons that you see multiples of.
Yeah.
But that one is one of the later numbers, right?
It's 180.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, right now 3 are accounted for. 1.
Yep.
2 and 3.
4. JF has
4.
one.
JF has one?
No, but
I'm not saying you can't find another copy. But getting one in that grade, having the best copy, that's the bragging rights that you have with that book right there.
Absolutely. And I paid up the nose for my second copy, which is nowhere near that nice. And you got a deal in my mind.
I want to see it slabbed. I want to see that slabbed. Pressed, cleaned, and slabbed. I think that'd be beautiful in a slab.
Definitely.
Matt, I'm gonna jump you in turn because A, you tend to talk too much, and B,
Yeah.
Robert and I's
Me?
are close cousin books. So we're gonna go together.
Okay.
Let's see it.
Oh, so you want me to go next, or you
No,
want
I'm
you
gonna go next.
Oh, okay, got it.
So you can go last.
Okay.
So mine, we've talked about it before. I don't need to talk about it a lot, but same collection that Roberts came from. The other most famous issue, 128. The wedding scene issue, if you want to call it, whatever you want to call it, the wedding cover.
Dream.
The key book in the run.
Nice.
Yes, those to me are the top two. There's a few others that are Pretty Girls and Vampirellas and stuff, but these two are the creme de la creme. Probably this is the most money spent on one is this one right now. So
yeah, I think that's the highest anyone's paid.
Oh, easy.
Yeah.
But again, same collection, a very, very clean copy. My grading and some other guys looking at it is we're thinking an 8. There's a strange little indent here that we're not sure what's going to happen to it if you do a press on it. But otherwise, it's an extremely beautiful book.
Oh yeah.
Same seller. We've discussed whether it's HNG copy or not. No stamp here, so it could just be the
I've seen the H&G. It's not the H&G. That's actually nicer than the H&G, I think.
Wow. So this is maybe his father's personal copy that has been
probably something like that. Yeah, I could probably ask him. But
ungodly beautiful book. Robert and I should probably just send ours two in together and
just to blow it up on the census. Just to see what they both come back as.
It's beautiful. I mean, and that to me that's a huge part. I mean, the story of that book, the whole story of the non-canons and how they came to be and how, Gwen stayed alive and, even though it's a daydream, just, I don't know, man, that's history. Owning that book is you're owning a piece of Spider-Man. You could say you're owning a piece of foreign Spider-Man history, but I'm going to even go further than that. I'm going to say that's a piece of Spider-Man history that Mexico created the non-canon runs within their run, and Gwen didn't die. She was not killed by the Goblin. And I've posted interior panels from other non-canons where Peter Parker's looking lovingly in Gwen's eyes, and they're lovers, and I mean, it's stunning.
And there's a lot of interest in this little run that it's like we want to get it, we want to publish it, we want to show it. So
yeah,
we'll see what happens.
It's funny that both of them are Spider-Man. Just saying.
And I've said this before too. Hardcore Spidey collectors, like the hardcore ones that have to own every single book. When these books really hit the kind of mainstream consciousness, I think that price point wise, sky is the limit for those dudes. Because they're going to
be a $50,000 book. I mean,
could be.
It sounds ridiculous to say it now, but let's play this video back in 10 years. It'll seem like a bargain.
Spider-Man
no matter
collectors are nuts, and if they find something they don't have, how many people collect the Spider-Man run? One to wherever it goes. A lot.
Huge amounts.
Spider-Man, X-Men,
Punisher.
Well, I mean, those are easy ones. Spider-Man, X-Men are kind of those two kind of grail runs you hear. Fantastic Four's kind of died off. Those are the runs.
Yeah.
So,
like Tony Pamilla's 129, man, he had the gun in the Bible, and I was like, wow,
Tony's crazy.
Insane.
And I've seen that. I've seen his 129 set, like physically. It's one thing to see it on the screen. It's a whole nother ballgame to have him have a stack like this of 129s.
Daunting.
Yeah, that's the book that got me in. That near 300 on the wall at IndieCon a few years ago.
Oh yeah. Did you talk to me, John? Did you say anything to me? Did you say anything to Tim?
I definitely did, because I'm pretty sure I offered to buy some of them. You're like, no. No.
Oh, you were one of those guys, and we said, no, these aren't for sale. We paid all this money for a fucking booth just to show them off.
Yes, exactly.
We're crazy.
That's probably why there's a pretty strong international kind of hunting group in Indianapolis, though. Probably because of you crazy idiots.
Yeah, because we like seeded it.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean,
I've seen a shop with a Wolverine 1 Filipino floating around because of that. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You know what's that guy's name? I forget his name.
Sullivan.
Yes, I actually mailed those to him.
Oh, those are yours.
Those were mine. I pulled that Indo out of Indonesia, and I mailed him a Brazilian, an Abril, you know, the little one. And I told him, I said, don't sell these. Just put them in your shop as.
Yeah. He closed, but he's opening back up like soon.
He's a great guy. I forgot his name, but you know, and it was at that con too that Brian and his twin brother from Serbia saw the EKS 129, and their minds were blown. And guess what? Me and Tim got him EKS 129. Brian, he knows that. That's how I met that shop owner.
Yeah.
So you're exactly right, John.
There's a strong little population here because the other Crow guys here.
Oh yeah.
Liam? No. Yeah.
But yeah, he's a great friend
There's
too.
a lot of Indianapolis international collectors because of that little fiasco.
Mm-hmm.
I'm happy for that.
All right, so we're getting on our time clock. I'm gonna let Matt go because God knows how long he's gonna spend on his.
Well, yeah, I don't talk that much, man. I don't know what you guys are talking about. Okay,
floor is yours.
So I'm gonna show you this. What is this? This is the Gerber photo guide for Marvel Comics. Now, you know, this has been around for a while. And you know, it's got a lot of clout in the hobby. For a lot of people, the photo journals are sort of like their visual Bibles. But early on, when we were hunting, everyone knows I build the Star Wars set. Early on, when we were hunting as many foreign Star Warses as we could, Star Wars editions, we came across a page in this guide, and it says Marvel Foreign Comics. And it's right here. So
I'm going to show the image just to help you out.
Yeah. So it's got a whole bunch of them. And when we saw this FF, we went, "Whoa, that's cool!" And not only did it have that FF 150 in there, but it also had another book that got us thinking that maybe a Star Wars Taiwan edition existed. These are from Taiwan. See that 2001? So yeah. These books hit very close to the Star Wars 177 date. So back in those days, me and Ron, we were like, man, does a Star Wars 1 exist out of Taiwan? We got to find it. We got to find it. We eventually found out that it doesn't. Okay. So we found out that they only did 4 titles in Taiwan, but this is my number 1 foreign for the year.
The
Taiwanese.
Amazing.
In the Gerber?
Yes. Now show the Gerber picture again. Okay. Now, if you notice in that top right corner, do you see like there's a corner crunch there?
Yeah.
It's like near like where the Comic Code Authority would be.
Absolutely.
Now drop it for a second. Let's see if I can do this.
It's hard.
It's hard. But that corner crunch, it's there.
It's the same corner crunch. It's the book.
Same book. And you know how I know that? Because when we were hunting the Star Wars book, when we were on the CGC boards a lot, someone on the CGC board said, "Hey, I know the guy that was friends with Gerber and helped him build that page. I think he might have these foreigns." So I contacted him through PM on the CGC boards, and sure enough, he had this book, right? And he sent me a scan of it. And at the time, I was like, "Oh my God, that's the book from the Gerber guide. I have to have it. How much money do you need for it?" I'll give you $150 right now. And he was like, well, I have thousands of books. I don't know. If I find it, I'll hit you up. So I thought, oh, okay, well, one day maybe the guy will find it. Guy never hits me up. And in the meantime, we're researching the Taiwanese marvels. Let me give the stats. So this is the Taiwanese FF Marvel. It's the Taiwanese FF 150. But in their run in Taiwan, this is the first issue. So this would be the Taiwanese Fantastic Four 1. It's printed by a company called Magical Publishing Company, also known as Rock Comics Group. So that'd be the Republic of China. In 1978, and it started out with 4 titles: Spider-Man, 2001, Conan, and Fantastic Four. And
2001's a crazy title to be in there.
Yeah, I don't know why they picked that. Maybe because it was a movie title and it had crossover appeal. I'm not sure. So the book itself isn't a key book, but for me, it has a lot of significance. And we know that these Taiwanese marvels are extremely hard to find. Okay, I'm going to use my little scale, right? This isn't even a monster. This is a fucking ghost. This is a ghost of a book. This is the only copy that I know of. I've never seen another scan of another. That doesn't mean that they're not there. But I can tell you that I've hit up comic book shops in Taiwan, and there are guys in Taiwan, hardcore comic guys, that say they've never seen them and they've never even heard of them. It was the first time they'd ever seen them. And then I'd even had guys in Taiwan looking for them, could not find them. Doc Scott, Doc Scott is an amazing sorcerer as well. He doesn't have this issue. This is the only physical copy of this issue that has surfaced. I mean, we can't even say that there's scans on the internet. The reason
why is because it was on U.S. soil.
Yeah.
Think about when that picture was taken in the photojournal.
Yeah.
That's why it exists, because it was pretty much new when he got it.
Yep.
They don't have a lot of space there.
They don't. Think about how small Taiwan is.
No, they don't. They don't keep a lot of stuff.
And I think in my research, if anyone's interested, they can go to my Facebook page. I did a whole research into this book and the publishing company. And I found somewhere some information where they thought, so they were trying to get advertising. And I don't know why the number flashes in my brain, but it was something like 10,000. That flashed in my brain. And I mean, this is my number one, not because it's key, but because I consider it, again, a piece of comic book history. It was part of the Gerber Guide. For a lot of people, I'm sure the first time they ever saw any foreign editions was in that page of the Gerber Guide. So for me, that's just, I mean, it blows me away. And the way the Taiwanese publisher did not really change anything, they took, I mean, even all the way down to the comics code stamp. I mean, they just they left it. I mean, they just kind of took the nomenclature of the Marvel comic and just filled it in with the amazing, what do you call them, Ganji characters? I mean, it's just amazing.
We've talked, the more foreign the language, the cooler it looks to us. The Greeks and the Indos. It's so foreign that it's foreign. When we see something that's similar, we're like, that's okay.
Pun intended, right, John?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, we're a bunch of crazy guys, but we eat this stuff up. I mean,
the crazier the better.
The crazier the better. And if you're a new guy and they're seeing this video for the first time, go to Facebook, join our group, ask around. This part of the hobby could reinvigorate your entire collecting soul.
Absolutely. I've slowed my buying of other things just because I just can't get into some of the stuff, and this is I see it, I need it. I see it, I need it versus I'm just looking at stuff to look at. So
between American eBay and then seeing people post and stuff like that, it's definitely a thing of it doesn't hurt to ask any questions. Any of us are available. Instagram handles, Facebook group, we're all in there.
Just
We're
don't
all
ask
open.
Robert to buy the big booty Gwen because he's gonna say no.
He's
I'm
gonna say
shoot you
no.
down. This is your dream. This is your dream. I'm just gonna be.
He's gonna go like Tony. He's gonna pull out a Bible and a Punisher handgun. Oh, and I want to call out on the last episode. I forgot to make some call outs. Remember that. Also, I'd like to say that a lot of the neat thing about this part of the hobby too is that we know a lot of contacts and friends in all around the world, and we couldn't source these books without their help very often than not. Not only that, I couldn't even, like when we do our shows, John, there were two guys that helped us do the Iron Man 55 show that I forgot to call out their name. My boy in Greece, his name's Gabriel Tompalaris. He's the one that helped me figure out what the characters read on that Iron Man 55. And then Stefan Poitras in French, Stefan Poitras. I don't know if I don't speak French, but he's the guy that helped me with the Iron Man 55 on the Editions Heritage. So, we couldn't do this without our non-American friends in the hobby, and they're great. And like you were saying, Robert, we love them. We care about them. When things are going on out in the world, we're global citizens because of them.
Shameless plug. Stefan's helping me with the She-Hulk run, figuring out the Nordic countries because I'm confused on which one is which.
Nordic countries are tough.
Like one says Finland, but the other one's the finished one, and I'm like, all right, then what's this one? Is this a Denmark one? Or was it Swedish? Which one is this?
Bjorn is good at helping. I mean, all the Nordic guys. Bjorn, Morton. There's two Mortons. Randall's down there. Nadim. I mean, it's a wonderful group of guys.
I'm helping Randall with Randall Cinnamon. Shout him out.
Yeah.
I'm helping him with the. He's doing the 181 run, and I'm actually thinking about selling one of my American variants to help him.
Nice.
Right.
Yeah, Randall's an American living in Norway, interestingly enough.
Good choice for him.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you guys for joining us, Scott. Welcome. We appreciate you logging on and spending your night with us.
Thanks for
Robert,
having me,
good seeing you again. Always fun. Matt and I will see you guys again, hopefully with Iron Man 1. We keep planning on it, so we will try and do that.
Next week.
We will not be doing a Global Comic Safari because of the Super Bowl, but we'll catch you right after that the next week. And hopefully that gives us enough time to get our shit together. So if you need anything, check out Foreign Comic. God, brain farted. FCC on the Facebook page. You can see me on Tales from the Flip Side on Monday nights, and Comic Book Invest for anything in your comic book needs and spec and American fun stuff. So thank you all. We'll see you again soon.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.